two wonderful guests. They're joining us from Cuba. Liz Oliva Fernández is a 27-year-old award-winning Cuban journalist and producer with Belly of the Beast. And not to be outdone, or maybe slightly outdone,
for sure,
is Reed Lindsay, an award-winning journalist and documentary filmmaker who has lived in Mexico City, Buenos Aires, Port-au-Prince, and Cairo. They both create The War on Cuba, which is a 3-part film series telling the story of the impact of U.S. sanctions on Cuba and the interests driving them. And it's really good. I'm not just saying that.
Hi, I'm Liz.
People come to Havana looking for the real Cuba, and this is what they do.
But this is not my Cuba.
My Cuba isn't so romantic, but I'm happy here. I love my country. But we've got one huge problem, the economy.
La situación está mala.
Malísima.
Fea. Pésimamente mal.
Está difícil.
Estresante.
Caótica.
En candela.
Ahora mismo está fatal.
A mí ni me preguntan.
So tell us what is happening right now in Cuba as we speak.
You first?
Okay. You first, Liz.
What happened the last Sunday was the result of the people was really tired for the economic crisis that Cuba are living for more than 6 decades. Also, people are talking about political protests. That's not right. That just people came out on the street, took on the street, show the government they are unhappy with the nowadays situation. And it's funny because when you talk with them and you ask why, they say, I don't know, I just want a change. I don't know how and when, I just want that my situation change. They blame for all to the Cuban government. It's reasonable because the Cuban government is the face that the people that they want to ask explanations in some way. But US media sometimes forgot that the actual economic crisis that Cuba are living is also because the US sanctions. And they don't mention that at all. I don't know if it's made clear myself because it's my first time in English.
Your English is great.
Also, I forget to say that it's easier that people blame to the government because you can see the blockade. You can see the sanctions. The government has failed in the way that they try to explain how the blockade works in Cuban people. So Cuban people don't understand how the blockade or the sanctions affect us. Who they can see? The government, and the government is doing wrong all the time. Sometimes they forgot because they don't see the sanctions, and the government has failed in the way that they try to explain the blockade to us.
To give an example, we were told that Cuba produces 2 of the 5 top vaccines in the world in terms of efficacy, which is remarkable for a small, poor country that is blockaded by the most powerful country in the world. In any case, they've been able to develop their own biotech industry. They have these 2 vaccines. We both received our vaccines. All of Havana is set to receive. All Havana adults will have received vaccine by the end of this month. But more people could be vaccinated because Cuba Soberana vaccine was delayed in production. Because the biotech company that makes it was unable to import an important component needed to produce that vaccine from a country, in a third country, not the United States, that used to sell them the vaccine, but then was unable to because of the blockade. I can't tell you the name of the company or how long production was delayed or the name of the component or any of those details because the Cuban government hasn't provided them to us as journalists. In part, it's because they can't in this specific instance, because if they start giving out those details, it can make it even harder for them to find a company that may be willing to sell them. So they tend not to like to give those details out. So that's part of the reason. But then they also, as far as the communication strategy, have failed. And then I think part of it too, and Liz talks about this in the beginning of the War in Cuba series, she says people are sick of hearing about the embargo. Even when they do talk about it effectively, they've been hearing about it for 60 years. And at some point, you keep hearing about it, nothing ever changes. Maybe you start thinking this thing doesn't even exist. They're just making this up.
Yeah. Also, I have an interview in the morning. People was telling me about how tough the situation are for them. I was asking, maybe what is fault of the sanctions too? They said, okay, stop. Don't talk me more about the blockade. I know the blockade. Now give me solutions because I'm tired. And I understand that. And the government doesn't have any solutions because the sanctions are only more than increased during the Trump government. Biden come to the power until now has done nothing to change the situation.
Yeah. So. Biden has done nothing to change it, and he hasn't rolled back the things that Trump did, right? Was it Jen Psaki said Biden is not Obama on Cuba?
Yeah.
Like, I wish. That's too bad.